In this video, I'll build an industrial themed desk lamp using items from my local hardware store. That's coming up next on Making with Mark. I've built a number of unique lamps in the past, and I'll use some of these same techniques in this build. It's another fun day in the workshop. Let's get started. Off camera, I cut this piece of scrap lumber that I'll be using for the base. I cut it to size and then routed the edges. It definitely has the look I'm going for, and it'll make a great solid base to build the rest of the lamp. I'm using this cast iron floor flange to connect the control box to the lamp base. To make that connection, I'll thread in this 1-inch pipe nipple. Next, I measure to find the center of the base so that I know where to locate the flange. Then I attach the flange to the base using 4 drywall screws. I'm using this metal electrical box to house the lamp switch. First, I need to remove this punch-out tab on the underside to accept the threaded pipe. Now I need to open up the hole a little bit using a step bit in my drill. Once I get the fit just right, I can thread the pipe into the box. I punched out another hole in the back of the box, and this is to accept a pipe clamp. This will hold the upper portion of the lamp. A heavy-duty set of pliers makes this job much easier. Next, I insert this clamp into the back of the box and secure it nice and snug. I marked a short piece of copper tubing and then cut it using my pipe cutter. Although this particular clamp isn't designed for this exact purpose, it'll hold this pipe no problem. Next, I use some more of that 1/2-inch copper pipe and fittings to begin figuring out the rest of the design. I mark the pieces one at a time and cut them out using the pipe cutter. I came up with this design after some trial and error, and besides adding some much needed support, I also think it adds to the industrial look as well. To build out this lower arm, I punched out another one of those blanks from the electrical box. Then using my pliers, I removed the blank piece. And then I inserted another type of clamp, and this will hold the arm off of the side of the box and keep it nice and secure. This was almost like prototyping. It took me a few minutes to sort of figure out the design that I was looking for, but after a few minutes, it all started to come together. To keep the metal box from moving around on the nipple, I added a lock nut, and that's just to keep it nice and tight. Next, I did a dry fit just to make sure that everything lined up just right. This is very important to do before you start soldering pieces together. You always want to make sure that everything lines up just right. I decided to use 2 different utility lamp shade sizes for this desk lamp. One is 8.5 inches in diameter and the other is 5 inches in diameter. By staggering the lamp shades, I hope to increase the light output and add a little more visual interest to the lamp. For this lamp, I'm going with 60 watt equivalent vintage style amber glass LED bulbs. Moving on to the upper lamp piping, I'm repurposing this piece that was left over from another project. I thought it was the right size and it fit with the look that I was going for. With the piping now rough fitted, I can work on lamp placement. First, I need to remove the hardware and these clamps that came with each lamp. I won't be using these, but I'll definitely keep them for another project. Now it's time to connect this copper pipe adapter. I started out by putting a slight bend in the end using my pliers. Then I used a Dremel with a grinding bit to get the sizing just right. With a little help from a hammer, these two are permanently attached. I attached this piece to the back of the lampshade, and then I connected it to the copper pipe. I repeated these same steps with the smaller lamp. I used flux, solder, and a propane torch to fuse all the copper connections together. The flux not only cleans the mating surfaces, it also helps the solder to bond. After heating the parts to be joined, I'll lightly touch the joint with solder. This allows the solder to weep its way around the pieces, mating them together. I repeated these same steps to permanently connect all the pieces that make up the remaining lower structure. While it's definitely not pretty, it'll get the job done. Then I connected the upper portions of the lamp the same way. With the shades now firmly attached, I ran the wires for each lamp down to the switch box and fastened them with zip ties. And now, it's time to connect the electrical switch. For this, I'm using a repurposed dimmer switch. Next, I added a power cord into the box. Then I made all the required electrical connections, careful to join the proper wires in a secure manner. Now it's time to test the lights to make sure they're wired correctly. With a successful test, now it's time to attach the cover plate. I cleaned up those zip ties from before, and now it's time to add a little bit more detail just to finish off this lamp. The first thing I need to address is this control knob. I want to make it a little more rustic and industrial. So I dig through my collection of old lids, and I found one with ridges on the side that I thought would give the lamp sort of a console control knob look. I used a smaller lid to bridge the gap so that the new larger knob fit just right over the original one. Some super glue and baking powder did the trick to lock this together. I painted the knob to appear metallic, and then I added some distressing to make it look used. I filled the nail holes in the base with spackle, and then I sanded them smooth. Afterwards, I applied a coat of matte pale sage paint, and I distressed it for an age look. In the end, I'm very happy with this one-of-a-kind lamp, and I can't wait to put it on my desk for years of enjoyment. You enjoyed this video? Check out these other two that I think you'll also enjoy.